Welcome to the first episode of StudioU's brand new podcast, Off Transcript. I'm your host, Connor O'Neill. We got a great show for you today. We got reporter Sara Morris sitting down with former television and Broadway actor Harry Waters Jr. Waters is the director of the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee Show, premiering here in February at the University of Minnesota campus. Sara, why don't you take that away?
Okay, I love to tell the story of why I knew I was going to be an actor. When I was in first grade at Mount Calvary Lutheran Church, we were doing a play called Scarecrow Dick, and all these kindergartners and first graders were milkweeds. And I was one of the head milkweeds, Milky. And what I discovered is the things that I'm saying here on stage can affect how people think. And that's what I want to do. And I also knew I can't tell anybody, because why are they going to believe that I want to be an actor and I'm in first grade? But I knew it and I consciously followed it all the rest of my life. Sort of an enjoyable opportunity that I got to be here with the University of Minnesota Theater and Dance Department doing their first 2022 show, which I'm kind of honored to be a part of.
How did the U approach you about doing the show this year?
Well, because we have such a wonderful community here in the Twin Cities, I had either working personal relationships with a lot of the faculty and staff and some of the students, that they were obviously having different names thrown about, and someone reached out to me and said, would I be interested? And because I've just begun my retirement from McAllister College, I still love directing students. One of the things I'm really enamored with is that we get to make a change in their lives, and I always call the acting that we do is a part of making you more human. Usually I know the students that I'm working with. I've either had them in class, or they've been in other shows, or they were recommended through other departments. Also, McAllister is a much smaller place. So being here at the U, which is a larger institution, there's a wider breadth of students that are coming to participate. I love acting. And so there's something about the recreation of an emotional moment, of a theatrical experience that you get to do night after night. We had one director that used to tell the joke, just don't suck. It's like, okay, we won't do that. What I really recognize for myself in working with directors and choreographers and music directors is that collaborative work. I consider myself a collaborationist. I don't have to have all the answers. I've worked with directors who have told everything exactly what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it, and it hasn't been the most supportive, creative atmosphere. And then on the other extreme, I've had directors that gave me nothing, and every choice I made, they were wondering why I was doing that, and I was saying, because you didn't tell me anything. So I'm trying to balance all of those personally, especially bringing the experience to these students here, knowing that you're going to have a different experience doing any kind of theater or performance given who's leading the process. I got an opportunity to direct a show, this is in California, at Sonoma State University, and it gave me an insight into how to be generous with the people that you're working with. Even though you may be in one lane and this is what I'm supposed to do, I'm just supposed to learn my lines and line up and just do the things and everything will happen around me. The idea that I got to have a communion with all the designers, with the actors, with the crew was something that was exciting for me. We're basically training and giving young people the opportunity to learn how to do this so that they can take it further. When I did this other show, some people might know about, it's called Angels in America, there were moments of just gentle conversation that allowed us to fall into a reality that was revelatory. I don't know what's next, and that's kind of exciting. I've actually said no to a couple of projects. I got asked to direct a couple of things. I went, you know what, I'm just going to pause and just have the full experience of this instead of like trying to plan something else while I'm doing this. I grew up in Denver. I went to Princeton University. I went to New York. I went to Los Angeles. I went to San Diego. I went to San Francisco for several years, and then I was here. I knew that I had to see more of the world, and as soon as I could, I was out of there. And so now I can go back and it's a lot easier. in 2003, I got offered an adjunct position at McAllister, and I stayed. So 17 years later, I'm still here, and I have to say that I'm not unhappy. I always tell parents whose children want to go into theaters that if they want to do this and it's in their soul, you really cannot stop them because they'll do it in another way. Those of us that are doing this and it is in our soul, you have to know that there is support and community out there for you to be the best that you can be. If it's the heart of where you live and how you move in the world, you have to do it, and you're going to be amazed at what will come to you. Thank you. I hope that's enough for you all. StudioU. I think everybody should support StudioU. It's a new entity. It's the time for it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sarah, for that. That was fantastic. And now we're going to turn it over to our Vice President of News, Lukas Levin, where he sat down with members of the show, Katrina and Waverly. Lukas, take it away.
Hey everybody, I'm Lukas Levin, and I'm with some members of the Spelling Bee, a show that's at the University of Minnesota. Could you guys just give me a quick, brief introduction of yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Waverly. My pronouns are she, her. I play Rona in the show. I'm a senior, and I'm pretty fun.
Hello, I'm Katrina. I use she, her pronouns. I am an assistant stage manager, and I am a freshman, and I am also very cool and fun.
Amazing. I'm so glad we have fun and cool people here. Otherwise, this would be a very boring podcast.
Yeah, I mean, good choice.
So this is kind of like the first episode that we're doing. You guys are kind of like the experiment. You're the hamsters.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I guess isn't really a great way to call my subjects right off the bat or interviewees, but here we are doing it.
No, I like it.
So could you guys just briefly tell me, or at least one of you tell me, like what the show is just about?
Yeah. So basically, it is about a bunch of children in a spelling bee. They are all weird and quirky, and they're meant to be played by adults. And it's really funny watching adults embody this childlike energy and talk about things that children go through. For example, there's a song called My Unfortunate Erection. It is a very funny song, and it's all about how one of the spellers lost the word because he got an erection.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler, sorry if you're going to see the show and don't know about that. You will see that name in the program, so maybe it's not that big of a spoiler. But yeah, it's basically just like the journey of these little kids going through and the competition and the fears and anxiety, and you get to learn a little bit about all of their at-home lives. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually did the show in high school, and so it's kind of fun to see that it's going to be done by Harry Waters Jr. is the director here at the University of Minnesota. So that's actually like kind of exciting. Is there anything like, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that just in general. Like, did you know the show previous to this, or?
I mean, I personally had a little bit of knowledge. My friend in high school played me My Unfortunate Erection in the car, and I was like, what is this?
That's a good car song.
Yeah, super fun to jam out to, but I like low-key only read the script like a month before starting working on this, and I think I just really liked the idea of like, oh, this is just like real kids going through like real stuff, and working with Harry Waters Jr. has been super great as like a first time experience. Oh yeah, and this is also my first ever show working here at the U. So that's been super cool. Working with an outside director, which like I've only ever worked with one or two directors in my life because I mostly just did high school theater. So this has just been a new thing that's super fun and fresh, and I really like it.
So that kind of leads into is like, how did each of you kind of get into theater?
Good question. Well, my sister at 5 years old wanted to be a famous actress. She told my mom this all the time. My mom said, no, but you can audition for community theater. So she did that. She was cast in a show called The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. And she was only like 5, so my mom went to every rehearsal, and I was there too. And then they put me in as a baby angel. It was very cute. My star moment, I did make front cover of Kenosha News. And that was like the first thing I did, and then I just kind of followed my sister after that.
Cool.
I have a similar origin story. My best friend was in like the Milwaukee like little kids theater, like I think it's called like First Stage or something, and I was like, he is so cool, I want to be him. Mom, can I please do theater? And she said, absolutely not.
Classic.
And so I spent like all of my childhood years just being like, I want to be in theater so bad, and I just never got to do it. So once I hit high school, I was like, I don't care what you say, Mom, I'm gonna do it, and you're not gonna get to know about it.
I love how those
Stick to the
rebellious
man.
teen years led to theater instead of like
I know, it's
like
so
smoking
lame.
by the train tracks
there
or
was
something.
two paths.
It was either the
chosen
train
there.
tracks or doing musicals on stage.
Absolutely.
I love that. So I guess, like, kind of off that, like, what made you guys want to work in this show or audition for the show in particular? Because Katrina, I know you're like an assistant stage manager, and Waverly, you said that you're in it. So what made you want to audition? I guess what made you want to do the show? Whoever wants to go first.
Well, I love this show. I love it so much. I think I knew every word to every song before I auditioned. I think I knew every word to every song when I was like 10. My sister was in it in high school and played Logan, and I absolutely love the show. And the U doesn't really do musicals. So the last musical that they did was my freshman year, and I wasn't able to audition for that. And I came into college as a huge musical theater girl. So it's really exciting and really fun that my last show here will be a musical and one that I have always enjoyed. Yeah.
Cool.
I did all the different sides of theater in high school. So I was on costumes crew, I was an actor, I was an assistant director, and a stage manager. And I am also not studying theater or anything liberal arts related. I am a woman in STEM.
Okay.
So I was like, I cannot like continue. My first semester of college, I was like, if I have to see a chemistry equation or a calculus thing for one more second, I'm just gonna explode. I need to go back to theater. So I like contacted Christine and I was like, hey, my name is Katrina and I've done all these things. Can I help? And she was like, yes, please, we need assistant stage managers. And so just like coming here after my whole day filled with like math and science and boredom, it's fun and I love it, but it's not creative. And just like coming here after all of that has just been the highlight of my semester. So I think just coming here with an escape of like all of that stuff was mainly why and how I got into this.
That's awesome. I love seeing that there's like, you know, because we have someone who's theater and someone who's in STEM, and just seeing how you guys are kind of doing your own things with it both, which is really cool. I think that's actually what Harry specifically wanted me to talk to both of you. But we talked to Harry beforehand. We talked to him about directing and like that kind of thing. I think that segment played a little bit earlier. But one of the things that we kind of talked about was like that you guys are going to be kind of you're going to be performing in masks. I heard that, which I mean, I don't know how you feel about that. If you want to talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think that it is a very big challenge, especially singing in a mask. I feel like every time that I've sung in a mask within the past 2 years has been a lot of readjusting and pulling up, and that is a little frustrating. I also think that all my comedy is in my facial expressions.
Right.
So I've been really nervous about that. And honestly, I look in the mirror and I practice saying my lines to see what my eyes are doing, to see if it's conveying what I want it to be conveying. Yeah, but I think it'll just be a challenge. And I think you kind of go into shows with expectations of not seeing anybody in a mask, but we're so used to seeing everybody in masks that I think after the first 10, 30 seconds of the show, you won't even really notice. It won't be like an eyesore or anything like that.
And I know that there's going to be real audience members on stage too. So, I mean, there's going to be that element too. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that, what that's going to kind of be like?
I can go. So an element of the show is obviously the audience participation, which is just personally my favorite little thing that we have going on, because especially Waverly's character, Rona, gets to have this element of improv. You know, as an audience member comes up, you get to say a little announcement about them, a little fun fact, and actually have them spell a word that might be easier, might be hard. And I think it just like really brings an element of like connection for the audience to the show, and I just like really enjoy that. And I or my other SM team members have to stand in every night as audience members because I mean, like, how else are they gonna practice?
Right.
And so it's been really fun to just get to like hang out with them on the bleachers and feel like, oh, one of the team. But yeah, it's just it's something so different, but I think so fun, and something that like changes and will be changing every night, which is like so cool and exciting. So yeah.
What are some of the things you've said as Rona already?
Oh man, well, I got a good list of them. One of them was that Katrina makes Trisha Paytas fan edits. I have said that Rachel has a birthmark shaped like Walmart. And then the next time that Rachel went, I said she also has a birthmark shaped like Target right next to the one that's shaped like Walmart.
That's great.
Yeah, they're really fun.
I love that. I guess also, like, what has been the most exciting part, or what's been your favorite part of the process for this show?
I mean, for me, as cheesy as it sounds, it's all of the friends that I've made.
Ugh, love the cheese.
Yeah.
Love the cheese.
Love it. But I know I'm a little freshman, so like I was like, oh my god, I'm going to a school that's a whole state away. I'm scared of making friends. And like first semester I had some friends, but they were like, whatever. And so like coming here where I can actually like talk to people and like create with people, it's just like I've formed friendships that are just like different than just like your typical like person who lives next to me in my college dorm, like whatever. So that's been super lovely, and just being able to hang out with my SM team, who are just the best. Shout out to my SM team, they are amazing. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Waverly?
Yeah, I think something that was really exciting for me is figuring out how to play a funny adult, because going into auditioning and stuff, I'm like, it would be so much fun to play any of these children, and they're so weird, and I feel like I'm a very physical person. I move my body a lot, so finding comedic energy in a like more poised 30-ish-year-old woman has been a really interesting like journey for me. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And along with that, what has it been like working with Harry Waters Jr.? Because I mean, he's done tons of things. Like he was in Angels in America, and he's worked with Tony Kushner directly. So what's that like working with him as a director?
From the crew technical perspective, I would say it's definitely different. I feel like I'm used to working with very like straightforward, on the nose directors, especially from the crew side. But Harry is definitely very, I don't even know the word, like in the air, enthusiastic, very goes with the flow, which is sometimes a challenge, but a challenge that I found is helpful and has been something that I've learned a lot from, especially hopefully wanting to do this more in the future. Just like working with a bunch of different people that I've never worked with before, and I think that's a good thing. And I really appreciate Harry's expertise and perspective, and just the way he runs things at rehearsal is something I'm not quite used to, but something I really enjoy adjusting to.
Awesome. From the theater or the acting perspective, I should say.
Yeah. I feel like all the shows that I've done at the U have been with university professors.
Right.
So doing it with an outside director is really interesting, because there are different moments in a process that I'm kind of used to unfolding within the past 4 years, just unfolding the same way. So it's been a very different arc and very different journey, and I think that's very helpful and very useful. And some of the exercises we do are just so weird and fun. Like yesterday, we've been working on more. We didn't get to do the workshop that we were supposed to do because of COVID, because I had COVID. So we've been kind of diving in more to our characters, which is really interesting because we have blocked the whole show, and now we're going back through and doing all these exercises with blocked and rehearsed material, and it's bringing out a lot of new little things. And I think I'm really used to talking about our character and everything before that, and then blocking everything. And I think it brings actually a really new perspective to each scene.
Cool. So do you think you're going to keep doing shows at the U, now that you've kind of had that experience?
That has been something that I've been wrestling with ever since joining this. Not because I don't love it. Clearly, I am having the best time ever, but oh my God, I am so busy and I am so stressed. I forgot how demanding theater was, and I have like 15 or 16 hour days now, and I just, oh my gosh. But at the same time, I'm like, I cannot give this up. Like I think if I didn't do not the next show, but if I didn't do another show within like a year or so, I think I would just feel not complete, if that makes sense. So that's a great question. I would love to know the answer to that too. We'll see, is what I'm telling myself.
You may or may not return in the next theater show.
I think I gotta finish this show first,
Absolutely.
and then figure it out. But it's not that I don't love it. I'm just very, very stressed, but for good reason.
Yeah, right. I have just a few questions for you for the end. So I guess this is kind of an earlier question, but I would say, like, in the end, how do each of your roles contribute to the final product that is the show?
Girl, I gotta think.
Okay.
It's a big question.
Well,
If you hate it, you can skip it.
no. I love to talk. I'll talk about anything. I think what's really interesting about Rona, two things. One, Paunch, which is how we are pronouncing it.
That's how we pronounced it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like I normally hear it as Panch.
That's what I heard too. Yeah.
But Paunch kind of paces the entire show because he's bringing everybody forward and telling, like, say an audience volunteer keeps getting it right. No, it's wrong. It doesn't matter. You got it wrong. You're off. So, like, he kind of paces everything. And even though that's not me, I feel a part of that. And that might just be, like, wrong, and maybe I'm taking a little bit of credit where credit is not due. But I think it's really interesting to, like, watch that. And normally shows, you know, it's a set script. You'll get done when you get done. Your pacing is just, like, how fast you say your lines or how fast these moments are. So I think that's just a really interesting little bit. And then Rona's relationship to each of the spellers is really special to me, and the relationship that each speller has to Rona, whether that is that they think she's annoying and rude or, like, trying too hard, or it is that she reminds her of their mom, and they, like, all these different little bits. I think it's really special, and I think it shows how these kids want adults to view them. And when you're a kid, you're trying so hard to prove yourself, especially to the adults around you. So I think it's really interesting to see their relationship to me and the other two adults that are on stage. Yeah.
Cool.
Mine's, like, probably not that deep, but
That's not
I
true.
would say walking into this, I was like, what the heck is an assistant stage manager? I've never heard of that before. I've always just been an assistant director or, like, a regular stage manager. So I was like, what do I even do? Especially as an assistant stage manager for costumes. I was like, I do not know how to sew. I don't know how to do any of that. But then I think the thing that I am contributing, yeah, that's a word, to most in this show as an ASM is this, like, weird, like, communication that I never even thought of between cast and crew and all of the shops and all of the adults in front of house. And I think that that's what I found the most value in, is just, like, being that person that anyone can come talk to or get information from or give information to. And aside from, like, all of the work that I'm doing with, like, arranging costumes and quick changes and all of that kind of stuff, I think the strongest connection I have between everyone is the connection that I give between everyone, and just, like, being that, like, middle ground and that kind of person that anyone can come to for whatever they need, whether that be for the show or not for the show. So that's been, I think, the most cool thing and connected thing that I've had to do for this.
Cool. How have you guys grown while working on Spelling Bee?
I think one of the main ways that I have grown is, and again, it's a little cheesy,
Love the cheese.
but it is as, like, a friend to the rest of the cast members. So our cast has a weird age gap. So there's, like, a bunch of seniors and a bunch of freshmen. And I think watching all of these freshmen learning to embarrass themselves and trying out new things and coming in the first few days so nervous to, like, sing in front of everyone has been so beautiful. And I was in She Kills Monsters last semester, and there were a few underclassmen in that, And one of the main things that they spoke of when we talked about things that could have been better was that they felt thrown into things and didn't know what was going on. And they didn't know where this door led to. And they didn't know just like little things like that, how tech rehearsals run. So we all thought of an idea together, and I tried to bring it to Spelling Bee, was like a kind of a buddy system. So a bunch of seniors like rose their hands, and I was like, these are people that you can go to if this is your first show, or maybe it's not your first show and you're just confused, but these people feel like they know the ropes well enough to give you information and any sort of advice or anything, or just somebody if you need an older person to talk to. And that has been really, really beautiful and really nice, and kind of shown me a different way that I can be a cast member and support system to other people, because I think I'm a really big cheerleader, and that is something that I've just always been. I'm always going to tell someone good job, but being there in a different way that is more like, no, I want to like be there to give you advice or tell you where the vom leads to, or all these little different things has been really special to me. Yeah.
I think the way in which I have grown the most is probably, this is not nearly as deep or anything, but probably just like not having the fear to tell other people what I need or what I need from them or what I want. I think as one of the freshmen in the show, this is my first time doing this. I have no idea what I'm doing. I think it's just like, and I express this to our stage manager, Gianna, Princess G. I express this to her all the time. I'm just like, I feel wrong telling these seniors and older cast members, hey, can you not do this? Hey, can you put your stuff away? I need this from you. Don't do this. It's just really weird. Especially I'm like only 19 and I'm like telling these like early 20-year-old people like what to do. It's just so weird. And so I think I've really learned how to be someone of authority despite not necessarily having the experience that I wish I had. And I feel like I've also just become a very patient and organized person, which is not something that I always am. But I think through these really long rehearsal processes and like working with not even like people that are hard to work with, but working in a time when people have bad days or people are just not on their game. It's just like I've really grown to be an understanding and like supportive stage manager when things can feel really frustrating from people who are not always willing to give it their all for good reason. I mean, this is a really hard time for everyone, and I think I've just learned how to be a leader when I don't think I should be one, if that makes sense.
For sure. And I guess kind of we're going into the final two questions, really just the final question. What are you guys most excited about for the show, for an opening? What are you guys most excited about?
Oh, man. Okay, I'm excited for a lot of things.
Okay.
First of all, I really hope that some professors are audience volunteers, because I have a lot of funny ad-libs lined up for specific professors. I also am very excited for everybody to see this fun little trampoline moment that happens. Also, really excited for everyone to see me hula hoop around my neck. Yeah, I can do that. It's pretty impressive.
I feel like you should have asked about this earlier. I feel like
yeah, you should have. I have a lot to say about this one. I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited for everybody just to be able to hear and see singing on this stage, just because that doesn't happen a lot. And I think that, in all honesty, in the BA theater department, musical theater gets a really bad rap. And
we're changing that today. We're changing that right now.
Yeah, we're changing that right now because I could literally talk about this for hours. But so many people are like, musicals, they're so boring or lame, or they don't actually mean anything. I think that's the main one, is like a show that is fun and is funny can also mean a lot. And sometimes you just need a fun and funny show, and that's okay. And yeah, so I'm really excited for everyone to be able to come and experience just a fun show that also is really sweet. Yeah. Cool. So we're all musical theater stands now. I have determined.
I would say I'm most excited for I think I'm going to picture this in my mind and paint the scene with
Everyone
me.
picture it at home.
Everyone is sitting in the audience. They're like, oh my God, this fun show is going to be so lovely. And then they sit through it and they're like, oh my God, I relate to Olive. I was Olive. Oh my God, I was totally Leaf as a kid. This makes me feel so seen. And I think I'm just really excited for that, like, possible moment that I probably won't even know about as someone like in a headset backstage, but I think I'm really just excited for people to just like be able to relate to it and take something away from it, and even if they don't, just to like have a good time and laugh a lot and see Waverly do a hula hoop around her neck. Thank you. I mean, like, obviously.
That's the,
and I think there's a juggle moment. I'm pretty
Not
sure.
by me.
Not by
me.
Waverly,
Seems
but
like
there is a juggle
different,
moment.
very different production.
Most
that
of these are in Pandemonium. Actually,
Oh,
all
that
of these
makes
are-
sense.
Yeah,
That
all of
makes
it
sense.
is in
Okay.
Pandemonium.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
No, Ethan does a really good juggling moment. Our paunch.
Oh, great.
Yes. Also, Caleb gets to scooter across the stage.
There's a razor scooter involved.
Yes, it's very fun.
This is wild.
There's also I'm not going to tell you that one.
Don't tell me everything.
You gotta
Don't-
come and see
Yeah,
it.
there we go.
You gotta come and see.
Okay. What? And then okay. Okay. Let's stop. And then I guess, is there anything else you guys want to add? If there's anything you want to say, or if you guys are good.
I love an opportunity to speak. So
Is your soapbox moment?
Yeah, I kind of already had mine.
Yeah.
Love musical theater, guys. It does mean something. You got anything?
I have just a little.
Absolutely.
A little
go,
something,
Go
something.
for it.
Support your crew. Support all your tech people. They work so hard and they love you all. And support theater and art and the arts in this trying time. So you should do that by coming to see the show.
Yeah. Support your fellow students. Come to the show.
Oh yeah, and your students. Yeah.
That's it. Whatever
Yeah,
that
that.
means. Yeah. Whatever. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Wayley and Katrina, for doing this. Thank you for taking time. I know you guys are super busy, so this has been really fun talking with you guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Lukas, for that. And also, thank you again, Sara. That was great stuff from the first episode of StudioU's podcast, Off Transcript. I've been your host, Connor O'Neill. Until next time, goodbye.